Hello beautifuls. Do you struggle with weight that refuses to budge, cravings, constant hunger, not being able to sleep very well, emotional ups and downs, hormonal imbalances, autoimmune diseases, any of our lifestyle diseases like high blood pressure, diabetes, type 2, cardiovascular disease, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, any of those kinds of things? Well, if you do, all of those things, in my experience, can be either eliminated or improved if you get rid of the sugar in your diet. Hello, my name's Nicole Bathurst from Naturally Nick, and I've been a dietitian for over 30 years, and I have seen all of those conditions improve when people remove the sugar in their diet. And I'm a great believer that when we understand where the sugar is in our diet, how to get rid of it, what to eat instead, what the sugar is actually doing to us and doing inside our body, it gives us the motivation and the understanding to get rid of it. So every week I have clients walk in my door and just say, I can't believe that I'm sleeping better. I can't believe that I'm not hungry all the time. I can't believe that I haven't got cravings. That my weight started to drop. That my blood pressure's gone down. My aches and pains are starting to go. I mean, it just seems like it's too good to be true. But honestly and truly, 30 years ago when I was at uni, we did just think that sugar was a benign substance, really. But we've realised that is just further from the truth. So I want to start and explain where sugar is in your diet, and it's kind of confusing. But basically, food is divided into three components. We call it macronutrients. So we've got proteins, we've got fats, and we've got carbohydrates. So we're going to be dealing with the carbohydrates today. But it just makes it clearer if I just explain that, healthy fats are olive oil, coconut oil, nuts and seeds, avocados, those types of things. Protein is your meat component, your eggs, your fish, and some beans and legumes and that kind of thing. And then we've got carbohydrates. And when I ask people what they think of when I say carbohydrates, most people say bread, pasta and rice. And then I say, well, where does the vegetables fit in? And of course, vegetables fit under that category as well as definitely a healthy carbohydrate, but they fit in that carbohydrate section. But so does sugar. Sugar is also a carbohydrate. So let's try and work out what carbohydrates do. Carbohydrates are basically the common denominator for a carbohydrate is glucose. So when glucose enters our bloodstream, we eat it, it goes through the digestive tract and gets absorbed into our bloodstream. Our body releases insulin from the pancreas to basically move the glucose out of the bloodstream into the cells. So the insulin comes, it's like a gentleman, it opens the door of the cell and lets the glucose in. Because our body does not want too much or too little glucose in the bloodstream. It likes a certain amount, that's where it feels comfortable. So I have basically broken down carbohydrates into three groups. And the first group is this. So this is the carbohydrates that rush into your bloodstream really, really fast, like this can of Solo. I'll come back to them. Then we have the bread, pasta and rice carbohydrates, and they are like a chain of glucose, and I'll come back to them. And then we have the third type, which is like a block of glucose, and this has got fiber in between it, and this is much, much harder to break down. So the idea is that when we have something like a can of Solo, there's a lot of glucose or sugar in there. And because it's in a liquid form, like all sugary drinks or chocolate, cakes and biscuits and lollies and those types of things, it rushes into the bloodstream really, really fast. And what happens, it hits your bloodstream. All this glucose is in there and your body panics. It wants to get it down. Because remember I said that your body likes your glucose to be at a specific level. If it's too high or too low, your body panics and it releases hormones to get it back down here. This is where it feels comfortable. So when you have that can of Coke or Solo, it rushes in like a tsunami and your blood glucose is up here. And your body, as I said, releases insulin to get it down. But it releases a lot of insulin. So instead of just coming back down to here, it's now comes down and it's too low. So now your body releases different hormones. These hormones make you feel absolutely starving. You know, that famished, I've got to eat right now and I don't care what it is. So this is a cycle. And when you have had that drink and you've got lots of glucose in your bloodstream and it's up here, that's when your body releases things like dopamine and serotonin. They're your feel-good, happy hormones. So it gives you that buzz. Adrenaline is also released. So you feel fantastic. And this is where that addiction cycle comes in as well, where we found out that sugar is as addictive as a lot of our drugs. It affects the same part of the brain. So we love that feeling, which makes us go back for more. But not only that, we've got the high and then we've got the low. And so it creates this cycle, this constant cycle of cravings and hunger, which is that's where that out of control feeling comes in. You feel like you're being controlled by something, and actually you are. So that's the first type, and I call that the tsunami effect with all of those. And don't worry, I will come back to those pink ones. So the next type of carbohydrate is the river type carbohydrate, which is like long chains of glucose. And you see how that can break off? So in your bloodstream when you eat this type of carbohydrate, and that is mainly like your bread, pasta and rice. So you eat those and they are like long chains of carbohydrates, long chains of glucose. And it's quite easy for your body to break down that glucose and then it can get into your bloodstream. So it's not the same as the tsunami where it rushes in. It's like a river. So you still get an effect, but not as much. So they can still put you in that cycle of cravings and constant hunger, but not as dramatically. So what is the third type of carbohydrate? The third type is like this big block. It's like a block of carbohydrate. And in between that is fiber. So as you can already see, that's going to be so much harder for our body to break down those individual glucose so it can get into the bloodstream. And these are the type of carbohydrates that we want to be eating. We want to be eating carbohydrates that come with fiber, and it's so much harder for the body to break down, so that we just get a trickle of glucose coming in and we're not doing the wild swings. And so what is represented by this block carbohydrates? You guessed it, vegetables. Absolutely, top of the list. Vegetables are the most nutrient-dense, fibre-packed carbohydrate on the planet. You can't beat them. And then you've got things like whole grains. So that would be like your rolled oats, your quinoa. Those types of carbohydrates that haven't been broken down into a fibre, because that just makes it so much harder for the body to break it down, and so it's just slowly trickling in, and you're not doing the cycle. So I hope that helps to understand why we want to be having complex carbohydrates, because it's not bringing you into that cycle of cravings and constant hunger, and it's not giving you that huge amount of glucose that's contributing to all those symptoms that I mentioned earlier. So let's just go back and look at sugar. This is what sugar is represented by, this sugar here. Because sugar is actually 50% glucose and 50% fructose. And the reason why this is really important to understand is because sugar comes under the carbohydrate banner, but it is 50% glucose and 50% fructose. Now the glucose, as you know, does what I've just explained. When it enters the bloodstream, insulin is released and it goes into the cells for your body to use. But what does the fructose do? Well, the fructose does not cause insulin to be released. The only place that fructose can go is to the liver, just like alcohol. So fructose goes to the liver. I'll put it on my heart, put it over here in our liver. And if your body doesn't need it for energy, and over 60 to 70% of Australians do not need any extra energy because we're either overweight or obese, then this little fructose just is made into fat and is either stored in the body, usually around the middle, around your stomach, around your organs, or stored in the liver itself. And we have just seen a huge amount of people now struggling with what is called non-alcoholic fatty liver. And that is just causing all sorts of health problems, because we need, our liver does over like 500 functions. It's an amazing organ and is responsible for all of your detoxing, and way too big a subject to get into here. The other thing that happens is that as a byproduct of fructose metabolism, your body makes uric acid. And uric acid is, you might have heard, associated with gout. And so that can be responsible for achy joints, and of course gout itself. It is also responsible for constricting your blood vessels, which is associated with high blood pressure. It also makes a type of triglyceride, which is associated with cholesterol, LDL issues, and also with foggy brain. So this is quite a nasty little substance, and we want to be eliminating as much of this as possible. So we don't want to be eliminating carbohydrates, because we need fiber. Fat and protein are, we need them, but they do not give us fiber like the complex carbohydrates do. But there is no need for this at all. There is no need at all for sugar. So the more we can reduce this, the better our health will be. And the longer I do this, the more I believe that everyone should experience going sugar-free once in their life for at least 3 to 4 weeks. Because what if you are experiencing symptoms that you did not realize were caused by this? And I sit here as one who hears this, time and time again. I had no idea that my anxiety, my depression, my sleep issues, my constant hunger, my feeling out of control, my anger, it just goes on and on, was because of this. So I take my clients through a process. We don't just go slam, that's it, no more sugar. We go on a journey, and I take my clients at the speed that they want to go to. So initially it might just be getting rid of this, or it just may be changing a few things, or it may even just be a crowding out process of beginning to eat more, healthier fats, proteins and carbohydrates. But I go at the pace and take into consideration the likes and dislikes and the lifestyle of my client, and we just go at their own pace. But it's a really exciting journey, and I just really encourage you to start, because that's the hardest part. That really is just starting, and start somewhere. So I really hope you've enjoyed this, and if you think that, you know, there's anyone else who might, you know, be helped by understanding the carbohydrates, the different types of carbohydrates and where it is in their diet, please, you know, like and share this video, and I'll see you soon. Bye.